Here's your Tuesday evening weather forecast. We have plenty of scattered downpours happening now, especially south of I-20 and moving into the Pine Belt. We have some downpours that are pushing west, closer towards Vicksburg, and then some downpours that are pushing north through the Pine Belt. So here's a closer look at them. In the Pine Belt, we have some rain that's now passing through Hattiesburg just before 5:30, and it's a nice organized line of downpours and thunderstorms that are pushing northward. Thankfully, none of these are severe, maybe just a few gusty winds as they pass through. Moving north into Jones County, it should be passing through Laurel within the next 30 minutes. Then farther west, we have a bigger cluster of downpours that's pushing west and parts of Copiah County, just to the west of Crystal Springs and northwest of Beauregard, and some lighter rain falling out ahead of that near places like Port Gibson and Fayette. And closer to the metro, we've had this cluster of downpours that's pushing west as well, moving through parts of Hinds County now, just past through Clinton and downtown Jackson. And again, maybe just some brief gusty winds with these and some lightning strikes, but that's really about it. That's all we're going to see from these downpours. And right now in Jackson, the rain just passed through, so the temperatures have dropped a little bit, down to 74 at the airport. Still, of course, very humid, though, with a dew point of 73. Definitely feels like summer still out there, and the wind out of the north now at 5 miles per hour. On the temperature map, you can see who's seen rain and who hasn't this afternoon. 74 in Jackson, but 75 in Hazelhurst. The 80s showing up in the Delta where they have not seen rain. 81 right now in Yazoo City and 81 in Vicksburg. Even warmer to the east at 82 in Carthage and 83 in Raleigh, but mid-70s showing up where they've had rain in Natchez and Meadville. Still have 3 active tropical cyclones to talk to you about. Hurricane Helene is in the eastern Atlantic. It's still a Category 2 storm. Pressure down to 968 millibars. Still forecasted to move up into the north central Atlantic and not pose any threat to land. And then we have Isaac, which has weakened to a tropical storm. It's kind of going back and forth between a high-end tropical storm and a Category 1 hurricane. It may move back and forth in intensity over the next couple of days, but it's still likely going to bring impacts to the Lesser Antilles by the time we get to Thursday, and then continue to track westward into the Caribbean. And then we've got Hurricane Florence, the biggest and baddest storm of all. And for right now, it's a Category 4 storm, still Category 4 storm with winds of 140 miles per hour. That's in the latest advisory. Still a lot of really cold cloud tops surrounding the eye. And the eye has gotten larger compared to last night. It went through an eye wall replacement cycle last night, and that's why the pressure went up a little bit. But now it's back down to being at 945 millibars. And when the storms go through eye wall replacement cycles, the wind field tends to expand. You can see how the storm itself looks a little bit larger. Forecast track has not really changed all that much. Still going to be tracking northwest and likely make landfall somewhere near the Carolinas. And what happens after landfall is what's more concerning. This could do something similar to what Hurricane Harvey did, and that it'll make landfall and then possibly just sit there and just kind of rain and rain and rain. That's typical of storms like this when you have steering flow that'll push the storm northwest into the Carolinas. We have one main factor that's helping to steer the storm now, but then once it makes landfall, that steering flow will essentially collapse because the ridge will begin to break down out in the Atlantic, and then we'll have a new ridge that'll likely form farther inland. That'll keep Florence from moving northward and being scooped up by the jet stream. So it's pretty likely that it just kind of sits there and meanders and just continues to rain. And the track gets really uncertain in events like this because the forecast models have a hard time showing where the storm's going to go if there's not a lot of steering flow to really help pick it up. So with events like this, it will lead to just extreme rainfall rates, especially in the Carolinas, because the storm really just has nowhere to go. It can't go north because this ridge will be blocking it, and it can't go out to sea. The ridge is still blocking it, and the jet stream's just too far north to really help pick it up. So it could be a pretty extreme storm in that regard. And then we've got this new disturbance east of the Yucatan Peninsula, which has a 70% chance of developing into our next named storm of the season. If it does, it will be Tropical Storm Joyce, but I think it'll just track northwest and not impact Mississippi, more than likely impacting southeast Texas. So back here at home for the rest of the night tonight, we'll keep that chance of rain going through the early evening hours. Tomorrow morning, we could wake up to some patchy fog to the east of Jackson and mostly cloudy skies elsewhere. And then tomorrow afternoon, the rain coverage will be a little bit more isolated. We'll just have passing clouds and maybe some pockets of sunshine. And that best chance of rain should be farther north of Jackson for tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening, and more in the way of just partly cloudy skies for tomorrow evening as well. So here's your 3-day forecast. Chance of rain for tomorrow as well as Thursday at 40%. Getting a little bit hotter going to the weekend. No major forecast changes in store compared to yesterday. Still anticipating a little bit hotter weekend and drier weather going into the start of next week with lower rain chances.